I have an unmarried, childless uncle who was like a hero to me in my childhood. He was always very fond of me and played the role of a big brother. He often bought snacks or toys for me. One time, he showed up at my house with a huge gift wrapped in layers of newspaper and told me to open it outside. When I opened it, I found a shiny new bicycle, which excited me beyond belief because it was my first bike. He took me to a nearby open space to practice riding and spent a lot of time teaching me. But I noticed he kept pressing on his chest and making strange wheezing sounds, occasionally coughing incessantly. He seemed weak, like he was suffering from some illness, but I couldn't figure out what was wrong. Before that, he had given me a necklace with colorful beads, which I loved and wore everywhere. But when my mom saw it, she got tense and told me to take it off and never accept anything from him again. I thought it was strange because he had always been so kind to me. Although I didn't understand why the adults suddenly changed, I felt it was their problem, not mine, so I ignored my mom's advice. This time, when my parents were busy in the kitchen, my uncle gave me another gift wrapped in newspaper and told me to open it in my room. Excitedly, I opened it to find a very strange doll inside, feeling dirty and with limbs of different lengths. It was wearing a dress, with lifelike eyes and a strange smile that seemed to have a life of its own. It was the kind of doll I never liked from the bottom of my heart. The more I looked at it, the more scared I became, but I didn't dare to show it and just hid it in my closet, covering it with a sweater. Many days passed, and I never touched it again. Fortunately, my uncle never mentioned the doll again. But after that day, he stopped giving me little gifts or taking me out to play like he used to. Over the next few months, I began to notice that my life was becoming increasingly difficult. I accidentally wet a classmate's workbook, making her unable to submit her homework. During an experiment, I even broke a glass beaker. My classmates started looking at me strangely, and I found myself slowly being isolated. My health also deteriorated gradually, and my luck turned extremely bad. Whenever classmates made plans to go out, I would fall ill with a fever in the morning. Life became chaotic, and sometimes, when I was sleeping at night, I heard someone knocking on wood. Knock, 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 knock. The sound terrified me, and I would hide under the covers, hoping the sounds would disappear on their own. But after a few times, I finally couldn't resist and got out of bed to find the source of the noise. I cautiously approached the closet and, to my horror, found the doll's head lying on the floor. I screamed and ran out of the room, straight into my parents' bed, waking them up in a panic. My dad urgently asked me what happened, but I was too shocked to respond. My mom hugged me and comforted me, while my dad went to my room to see what was going on. After searching for a while, he came back and said there was nothing wrong. Confused, I told him about the doll, and my dad got angry, saying he would call my uncle right away. But my mom stopped him, saying it was too late and suggested we deal with it in the morning. My dad went back to my room to search again. After some time, he came back and said, "It was right there on your bed the whole time. I've been looking on the floor." Holding the doll's head, he asked me, "Is this what you were talking about?" I immediately confirmed it, saying it fell on the floor when I opened the closet. My dad then put the doll's head in a bag and tied it up before throwing it on the floor next to his bed and going back to sleep. I was too scared to say anything and just hugged my mom tightly, not daring to think about why the doll's head would be on my bed. The next day, my dad called my uncle and asked him to come home at noon. When my uncle arrived, he apologized to my dad, saying he was very sorry. He explained that the doll was supposed to bring him good luck, and he hoped it would bring me the same fortune. But he didn't know it would end up causing me harm. His friend had just told him that he shouldn't give the doll to others because it could harm himself or others. He only then realized how serious the situation was and blamed himself for inadvertently causing me so much suffering. He took the doll back, and gradually, my life began to improve. My luck wasn't as bad as before, and things started to turn around. However, my uncle experienced a series of unfortunate events in the months following this incident, from major losses in his company to worsening health. It seemed that the doll had a significant impact on both our lives. It could bring success in one aspect while causing failure in another. Later, I learned that the doll had a soul, but it was best not to possess it at all.